Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Bruno here, and today let's talk cameras. Look, I understand that camera gear is a big hurdle for people. Not everyone can afford a $500, $1,000, hell, even $10,000 DSLR cameras that are out there right now. But I just want to tell you guys, if you don't have the money for a DSLR, you might have something that can do the job, and that is your smartphone. I know a lot of people are probably shaking their heads or maybe they're even doubting right now, but let me make a case for the iPhone or any other smartphones that you might have, which I also hear the Samsungs are really strong, powerful cameras. So let's get to it. I'm gonna take off these glasses. I don't know why I have them on. So nowadays, smartphones have more or less 12 megapixels for their cameras. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I believe on the iPhone 12s, that's actually the megapixels. But on some Samsung phones, they have upwards of 30, 40 megapixels, and apparently some have 100. I don't know how accurate this article I'm going to show you on screen right now is, but nonetheless, the quality on these cameras are really, really good. Now, some of the downsides do include not the greatest depth of field in terms of having shallow depth of field, so you don't always get the most cinematic look with that bokeh blurred background, but the image quality is up there with DSLRs. As a matter of fact, a lot of iPhones and Samsung phones can actually record in 4K. That's not a lot of things that DSLRs can do even if you buy around $600 or $1,000 range. So some common examples of people who record on iPhone and you might not even know it include people like Law by Mike, Gary Vee, and other social media influencers. Why? Because it's really convenient. You always have your smartphone on you. You probably have it charged, and if you're a person that can manage their memory, you might have space to record something. So you might not have a DSLR in your hands, but you do have something equally, if not more powerful, in your pocket. Some prerequisites that I think are necessary if you really want to capture high quality smartphone footage include, but are not limited to, having some sort of gimbal or tripod. Gimbal is like a motorized stabilizer that you can put on. We recommend here at Elvira Media, DJI Osmo 4. Honestly, that one's incredible. Honestly, beautiful, very easy to stabilize, easy setup, and you can just run and gun. And the app that comes with it is also very powerful. It comes with other features like hyperlapse, time lapse, little zoom effects like dolly zooms. And then you also have manual controls over your camera, which is also something I recommend. On that point of manual controls, you can use some specific apps. I know on Samsung, they actually have it native to their camera app, some manual settings. And if you're gonna be recording on your smartphone or any camera for that matter, you really wanna be mastering the manual settings. So some apps that are really good include the Filmic Pro camera app. That's the one I use very often. The DJI Mimo app that comes included with the Osmo is also really powerful when it comes to manual controls. And another one that I've heard of but I haven't used is the Moment camera app. So if you're going to be recording your smartphone, make sure you have an app that can do manual controls. And some extra tools that I think are really helpful but are not necessarily necessary include an ND filter. This is just sunglasses for your lens. When you're filming outside, sometimes it's too bright and you don't want to really mess with the shutter speed because you're not going to have that cinematic motion blur you're looking for. So instead, what you can do is keep your settings locked and then add an ND filter, and then ND filter just basically darkens the image, and you could adjust the darkness so that you can get the look that you're looking for without having to compromise changing any of your manual settings. And then obviously some other extras that could come in handy, but once again are not necessary. Some lights. I know they have some like attachments you can put on your phone to bring some more light. I would say that's more for like vloggy, selfie sort of style content. And then of course some sort of audio capturing equipment. We use lavs here. There are some lavs that you can connect directly to the iPhone or smartphone, and you also can use a shotgun that connects directly. And there's also some mounts even that you can connect to your gimbal so that you don't have to weigh your camera down with all these extra attachments. And that's pretty much all the gear you're gonna need if you wanna capture high quality videos on your smartphone. All right, and now we can talk settings. Really, when you're capturing footage that you want to be cinematic, settings is everything. And now that you have your manual control app, you can control every part of the camera. So let's start with white balance. When you're recording on your smartphone and you have these apps, you want to set the white balance such that if you hold something white, like this piece of paper in front of the lens, it will detect it as white. It won't look blue, it won't look orange. In the camera app itself, this setting usually is next to a letter K with 5-digit number, so it's for kelvins. You're just basically gonna set the temperature of the scene. Just make sure that white looks white and you're all set there. Next up is ISO. Typically you want your ISO as low as possible. On smartphone cameras, it's really easy to achieve anyway because their sensors are so sensitive. So you want to just put that down as low as possible without making the image too dark. Next up, we have shutter speed. This is actually going to be dependent on the frame rate you're recording in. So right now you're seeing 24 frames per second. To get the most natural motion blur, you just got to double that number, and that's your shutter speed. So in this case, my shutter speed is 1/50. But if I was recording in 60 FPS, I would be using 1/20. And if you don't want motion blur, you can actually just quadruple the frame rate. So just do the math there. I'm not going to do that for you now. And lastly, aperture. I haven't been able to find it in the Filmic Pro app, but if you have access to it, the aperture sets how much is in focus in your image by setting how wide the opening to the lens is. The more wide open the lens is, the shallower depth of field. The smaller the lens opening, the greater depth of field. So it's just personal preference and depending on the conditions you're filming in. All right, and there you have it. That's my defense and why you should just start recording on your smartphone. DSLRs are great. I'm not hating on them. I love them. I use them all the time. But we often forget how powerful these little devices we have in our pockets. And I just really wanted to share why I think it's a good place to start and it's something that I've been meaning to do more of myself. And bonus, did you guys realize I was recording on a smartphone this whole time? Yep, this whole time I've been on my iPhone 12 and manual settings running Filmic Pro to record this whole video. I just wanted to do this so I can demonstrate how powerful these smartphones really have become. Let me know down below if you could tell the difference between this DSLR, the smartphone, or if you maybe even thought that this was recorded on a smartphone all along. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.